If you're really serious about your money, you gotta hold at least 1,000 XRP. This isn't some random guess I pulled out of nowhere. It's a straight up warning that's been coming from the people who helped build the crypto world and know what's happening behind the scenes. But there's a huge thing most folks are totally missing. If you don't get why that exact number matters, you might end up selling your coins way too early before the big changes even kick in. So why 1,000? Why not 500 or 10,000? People have been throwing numbers like that around for a long time, promising crazy wealth and saying XRP could become some kind of global money standard. Lately, though, the talk has changed. It's not just wild dreams anymore. It's become more like a basic requirement if you want to be part of what's coming. When guys like Zach Rector and other big names in crypto started saying 1,000 tokens is the key number, they weren't just picking a random price goal. They were talking about getting a real spot in the game. Right now, the whole financial system is getting rebuilt quietly, away from all the loud headlines about meme coins. This is the behind-the-scenes stuff that actually moves money around the world. Holding 1,000 XRP means you're betting that the current way of sending money across countries is broken. And yeah, it really is. Think about it. If you need to send $1 million from New York to Singapore, it doesn't zip over instantly like an email. It has to go through a bunch of banks in between, each one charging fees and slowing things down for days. In a world where we can watch 4K videos on our phones anywhere, even in the middle of nowhere, our money still moves like it's on an old horse and buggy. Ripple and the XRP ledger were made to fix that mess and kill off the slow system. But here's the real warning. The switchover isn't going to be easy or calm. It's going to be wild, full of ups and downs, and built to make most people panic and sell their coins. A lot of folks who grab 1,000 XRP right now probably won't still have them in a couple of years. They'll dump them at the first dip or even at a tiny profit and miss out completely. When this new setup really takes over, XRP won't just be something you buy and sell on an app. It could end up as the bridge that connects every central bank digital currency out there. If that happens, your 1,000 XRP stops being just a gamble and turns into an actual tool for moving value. To really get where things are headed, you have to look back at how it all started. Back in 2012, three guys, Arthur Brito, Jed McCaleb, and David Schwartz, gave 80 billion XRP to a company called Ripple. They didn't do it to create some quick, rich scheme for regular people. They saw a big problem with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is amazing tech, but it's slow and heavy. It wasn't made for the fast settlements needed in global business. These XRP founders wanted something that could finish a transaction in just 3 to 5 seconds. They built a ledger that could handle thousands of transactions every second without any trouble. Imagine having that kind of vision back in 2012, when most people hadn't even heard the word blockchain. They were already laying down the tracks for how central banks would work in the future. But here's something the fancy ads didn't mention. For their plan to actually work, the price of XRP has to get really high. If it's too cheap, the network won't have enough liquidity to handle big money moves. Say a bank wants to move $1 billion, and XRP is only worth $1 each. They'd have to scoop up so many coins that it would swing the price around like crazy, and banks hate that. But if XRP is worth $100 or even $500, moving that same billion barely affects the price at all. That's the secret reason behind the 1,000 number. The people who created this didn't build it for pocket change. They built it for a world where money moves as fast as you can think. Before I keep going, I gotta say I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for fun and learning. Crypto is super risky, and you could lose everything you put in. Always do your own research and talk to a real pro, because your cash is your own problem. XRP stands out from all the other thousands of coins flooding the market. If you've been paying attention to the news, you know about the long fights with the SEC. For years, XRP was treated like the odd one out in crypto, the coin that wasn't supposed to survive. While everyone else chased the next hot trend, Ripple was in meetings with big groups like the IMF and the World Economic Forum. They were building something that fits right into the rules, instead of trying to sneak around them. That's why if you're expecting XRP to act like a normal crypto that pumps and dumps for fun, you'll probably be let down. It's not made for quick flips. It's built to be a smooth, fast bridge for moving money with almost no hassle. Right now, banks keep trillions of dollars sitting useless in accounts all over the world just to make cross-border payments easier. It's called Nostro Vostro accounts, and it's a huge waste. If XRP can replace even a small part of that dead money, the need for the token could get enormous. But you have to wonder, if the big banks, institutions, and governments start using it, do they really want regular people like us holding a bunch of it? Probably not. That's why there's so much fear and doubt pushed around. They want you to believe it's a scam, or just a banker's coin, or a failed idea. Every time the price drops and comment sections fill up with people saying XRP is dead, remember why 1,000 makes sense. Those tokens are a fixed slice of the total supply. There's only ever 100 billion XRP, and a ton of it is locked in escrow or gets burned up with every transaction fee. We're heading toward a totally new way of looking at value, moving away from fake money and toward things that actually do something useful. If you're serious about your finances, you're not chasing tiny 10% gains. You're looking for a real structural change in how the world works. We all know Bitcoin's big selling point is its scarcity, only 21 million coins ever. XRP has a different kind of scarcity that's tied to how it works. Every single transaction on the XRP ledger burns a tiny bit of XRP forever. It's gone. At today's low activity, it doesn't seem like much. But imagine a future with millions of transactions happening every second. High-frequency trades, tiny payments, automated shipping, all running on the ledger. As that engine speeds up, the fuel, XRP, gets rarer and more valuable every day. Most people just don't have the guts to stick it out through all that. They'll watch the price sit flat for months or years while other coins shoot up, and they'll feel like they're missing out or made a dumb choice. That's the tough, dark side of the XRP story, the long stretches of boring or scary price action that wear you down. It's like a mental battle. The creators know most people have short attention spans. They know if they keep the price low long enough, a lot of folks will quit. We've seen this pattern before with stuff like early Amazon or Apple stock. There were years when nothing happened, and people made fun of the holders, calling it dead money. Then suddenly the setup was ready, and everything changed overnight. If you want to keep up with all this in real time and not lose your mind when the market gets confusing, there's a free educational Discord where people talk about these assets every day. The link's in the description. It's a good spot to stay steady when things feel messy. And if you want to go even deeper into how the different blockchains actually work and build real strategies, check out Cheeky School at cheekyschool.com. They have free and paid courses, and there's a 50% off code in the description too. Just having 1,000 XRP isn't enough if you don't know what to do when the price finally starts moving. Are you going to sell at $5, at $10? What if it hits $50 and then crashes back to $20? A lot of people will freak out and lose their spot right before the real big run. There's this idea in economics called liquidity. It's basically how easily you can turn something into cash without crashing its price. Selling a house super fast usually means taking a bad deal. That's low liquidity. But swapping a dollar for 4 quarters? That's perfectly liquid. The old global money system is facing a huge liquidity problem. There's not enough good stuff to back up all the debt moving around the world. That's why central banks keep printing more cash to try to keep things running. XRP was designed to be the most liquid asset ever. It's like nobody's debt. When you hold a dollar, you're holding a promise from the US government. When you hold XRP, you're holding pure math. The math doesn't care about elections, wars, or what central banks decide. When the founders talk about needing 1,000 XRP, they're thinking about a time when liquidity becomes the most precious thing on the planet. Banks won't want to hold risky currencies from other countries anymore. They'll want something neutral. Picture a world where every time you swipe your card or a company pays an overseas supplier, XRP is quietly settling it in the background. In that setup, 1,000 tokens give you a serious amount of power to move value. But the path there is full of crazy swings, flash crashes, huge pumps. That's just the market figuring out the real price. If you can't handle a 30% drop in an hour, this might not be for you. For a long time, the big bad guy in the story was the SEC, creating all that uncertainty. But now the fight is shifting. The real enemy is the old banking system itself, the people who don't want to lose their fat fees, politicians who want to keep the dollar on top, no matter what. They're fighting against the math, and they're going to lose. The math shows the current debt-heavy system can't last. We're seeing record debt, and groups like the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are looking for ways to trade without always using the US dollar. They need something neutral, fast, and not controlled by one country. Sound familiar? XRP was made exactly for this. It wasn't built for 2012, it was built for 2025 and way beyond. When someone says you need at least 1,000 XRP, they're looking at all the trillions that flow through systems like SWIFT every day. If XRP takes even 5% of that business, the price has to rise a lot just so the network can handle the volume without breaking. You can't push $1 trillion through a tiny pipe. The value inside the pipe has to grow to match. But nothing is guaranteed. This is like a giant poker game between the most powerful players on Earth, deciding who controls the new Internet of Value. As regular people, we're small in that game, but holding 1,000 XRP lets us get in early, before the big institutions get full permission to flood in. Look at what's happening on the world stage. For decades, the US dollar was king. You needed it for oil, for international trade, everything. But that's changing. The BRICS nations are done with US sanctions and dollar swings. They don't fully trust each other's money either, so they need a neutral bridge. The XRP ledger is open source, decentralized, super fast, and it's been running perfectly for over 10 years with zero downtime. That's rare and valuable tech. When people say 1,000 XRP is the minimum, they're betting it becomes the neutral way the world settles trades. If that happens, we're not talking small moonshots. We're talking about changing what money even means. Your 1,000 tokens would basically own a chunk of the world's financial highway system. The path there won't be smooth, though. There will be more lawsuits, more hacks, more famous people calling it a scam while they quietly load up themselves. You got to see past all that noise. The founders set up the supply the way they did, with so much in escrow, on purpose. It makes sure there's enough liquidity ready when everything switches over. If the price stays too low, big moves would cause chaos. At $1 per XRP, moving $10 billion would need 10 billion tokens and wreck the price. At $100, you'd only need 100 million tokens, and things stay stable. That's the weird twist with XRP. The higher the price, the better it works for the banks. A lot of us are feeling the squeeze these days. The middle class is getting crushed by rising prices and wages that don't move. Saving money the old way doesn't work anymore because inflation eats it. The project founders know this. When they talk about a minimum holding, they're talking about a way out, an escape from the old broken system. 1,000 XRP right now costs about as much as a nice used car or a good laptop. It's still doable for regular people if you're careful, but that chance is closing fast once everything gets fully cleared by regulators and big institutions start buying through ETFs and custody services. Retail prices will vanish, just like they did with Bitcoin. It used to be for hobbyists and tech nerds. Now it's BlackRock and Fidelity. XRP is next, and it's even bigger because it has real everyday use that Bitcoin doesn't focus on. Bitcoin is like digital gold for storing value. XRP is like digital oil. It makes the whole system run. If you're serious, ask yourself, what's my plan? Am I just hoping, or am I getting in where the smart money is heading? That's why the Discord and Cheeky School focus on learning the big economic forces, not guessing daily price moves. It's about having a real strategy so you can hold when everyone else is losing it. There's this idea floating around called the Great Reset. Some call it a conspiracy. Others see it as something that has to happen. The thought is that our debt-based money system will break and a new digital one will replace it. If that occurs, the assets plugged into the new system will be the winners. XRP is right at the top, with partnerships and tests happening in places like Japan, the UK, and the UAE. Those aren't tiny countries, they're major financial centers. They're not playing around, they're building backups because they know the old system is failing. Holding 1,000 XRP is like buying a ticket on that lifeboat. But the ride will be bumpy. There will be times it feels like it's all sinking. We saw it during the SEC lawsuit. XRP got kicked off big exchanges, the price crashed, and most people sold. But the ones who got the utility kept holding and even bought more. They knew one US court case couldn't kill a global ledger that the whole world needs. The escrow setup is key too. Ripple keeps tens of billions of XRP locked in smart contracts. Every month a billion gets released. Some goes to institutions, the rest gets locked again. Critics call it dumping on regular buyers, but think about it from a bank's view. They don't want to buy from random people on exchanges. They want a steady, trusted source. The escrow gives that guarantee of supply when the system turns on full blast. When founders say 1,000 is the line, they're looking at how little XRP is actually left for everyday people after institutions and lost coins are counted. The big players are fighting over the main supply, and we're scrambling for what's left. If you have 1,000, you're already ahead of most of the 8 billion people on Earth. With only 100 billion total XRP, that's just 12 per person if everyone wanted some. 1,000 puts you way up in a special group. It's not only about the dollars, it's about real scarcity. People always wonder why the price hasn't exploded yet, even with all the good news, legal wins, and tech progress. Other silly coins fly up while XRP stays flat. That's on purpose. If a serious financial tool jumped 5,000% in a week, everyone would treat it like a joke, not real infrastructure. The slow periods and scares are a way to move coins from weak hands, people who buy on hype and sell on any red, to strong hands, people who studied the white paper, understand the use, and plan for years. The market will keep boring you, scaring you, and testing you until you let go. Being right too early in investing often feels exactly like being wrong right up until the moment it isn't. We've seen it with Bitcoin. Some sold at $100 after buying at $10 and felt smart, but missed the run to $60,000 or $100,000 because they didn't hold with real vision. $1,000 XRP is your ticket, but you have to keep it while everyone says it's worthless, and you're missing out on the latest meme coin. That's why a community like the Discord helps. It's full of people who've lived through these cycles. They share info, look at data, and remind each other of the reasons. It's not some weird cult, it's backup for when the noise gets too loud. Back in 1988, The Economist magazine had a famous cover showing a phoenix bird rising from burning money with a coin on its neck. The headline was, "Get ready for a global currency," and they picked 2018 as the time. They were a bit early, but the idea is still alive. We're watching the old money system burn up from inflation and lost trust. The world is hunting for that phoenix. Could XRP be it? It has the speed, the size, the backing from institutions, and it's mostly sorted with regulators now. When founders push 1,000 as the minimum, they're thinking about a full reset where old currencies get measured against a new digital standard. In that world, you wouldn't ask how many dollars your XRP is worth. You'd ask how many XRP a dollar is worth. That's a mind flip for most of us, because we're used to selling crypto for real money. But what if the old money is the one failing? Your 1,000 XRP today is protection against that, and a piece of whatever comes next. Let's run some real numbers. If your 1,000 XRP hits $10, that's $10,000. Maybe enough to pay off a car or some debt, but not life-changing for everyone. At $100, that's $100,000. A solid house down payment or safety net. But if the big thinkers are right and XRP settles trillions, and the price goes to $500 or even $1,000 per token to match the needed liquidity, then your stack becomes $500,000 or $1 million. That's why they say 1,000 is the baseline. They're not dreaming of $10. They're seeing a total redo of the system. The trap is getting too excited and counting millions before it even hits $5. That makes you impatient and bitter. The XRP holder's biggest enemy is often their own head, the feeling that you're right but the market is slow or wrong. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay calm, especially if you're using money you can't afford to lose or borrowing. That's why we always say only use what you can lose. If the price stresses you out daily, you'll mess up, sell at the wrong time, or fall for some scam promising to double your coins. The real winners aren't the constant traders. They're the ones who buy, understand what they own, and wait patiently for years while the world catches up. Everything around us is turning digital: music, movies, friends. Why should money stay stuck in the old paper or bank database way? The new way sees money as data you can send as fast as a text. XRP looks like the top choice to make that happen. The change will feel messy, though. You'll hear stuff like ISO 2022, automated market makers, and side chains, and it can get confusing. That's why the Discord breaks it down simply, and Cheeky School has step-by-step courses on securing your coins, handling taxes, and even passing them to family. The founders aren't just dropping a hot tip. They're warning that the world is changing fast and you need to get ready. We went over the 2012 start, the BRICS connection, how escrow works for big players, and the mental side of holding. But it all circles back to that one number, 1,000. It's a test. High enough that it takes some real effort for most people, but still reachable if you want it. It's fair in a weird way. If you have 1,000 XRP, you're choosing to step away from trusting the old system with your future. You're saying you believe in math, in open networks, and in something that actually has a job to do. The chance won't stay open forever. Tech jumps happen fast, not in slow steps. We're near one of those jumps. The Internet of Value is turning on. Once it does, the price won't give everyone time to jump in slowly. It'll gap up and leave a lot of people watching from behind, calling it luck. But you'll know you held through the tough times, ignored the distractions, and saw the real use when everyone else was chasing cartoon frogs. The honest truth about 1,000 XRP is that it's a big bet on the future of how the world moves money. It's betting the slow, expensive old way is done, and a better one is coming. It's a heads up that without a seat, you might get left watching as the gap between old and new grows. But it's also a warning against getting greedy or impatient. 1,000 tokens won't make you rich overnight or act like a lottery ticket. It's infrastructure. Treat it like a gamble and you'll probably lose. Treat it like a long play in how value will travel, and you could be in a much better spot a few years from now. We're at a fork in the road. One way goes back to the slow, costly past. The other goes to something fast, open, and efficient. The big institutions and central banks are picking their side. The only question left is, which one are you picking? Don't get lost in the noise. Focus on what it actually does and the logic behind 1,000. Keep the big picture in mind. The warning is out there. The new system is being built. Now it's up to you, whether you join in or stay on the sidelines wondering what just happened.